So we talked about the parallel lines, the lines that can never ever touch. We talked about perpendicular lines. Those were the kind that when they touch, they make it like a capital letter T. So they cross, they make a right angle. Today, we're going to focus more on the angles. So what I want you to do, we're going to go into classwork. We're going to find our topic, math, or actually, before we do that, topic I want you to find is digital rooms. Then in our digital rooms, we're going to go to math, math digital room. We're going to go to slide number 2. And on slide number 2, I want you to look over here to the left. Over here on the left, see there's a couple of different things here. Some of them look like shapes or blocks or things like that. But the one I want you to look at is this one here. It's like a bunch of little dots with different colored lines on it. We're going to click on that. It's going to bring up this little white box that says Geoboard. I'm going to click on that. It's going to take me to a page that looks like this. So if you haven't used them before, these are called geoboards. They're boards that usually they have these little plastic pegs that stick up out of the board. And they're made in different shapes. So like this one is made in a circle. If I click over here, I can change it to a square. This is the one that I want. I'm going to click on the square one. Now normally if I had one of these right here in front of me, I would take some rubber bands and I would stretch them out and I would put them around these pegs. But I don't have one in front of me. So I'm going to use these ones. I'm going to pick a rubber band, whatever color I want. It's up to me. I'm going to pick orange. I'm going to put it there. So I notice that it's got one peg it's wrapped around. I'm going to stretch it out. Put it around another one. So now I have an orange line. Yes, Nakai?
I know we go to the digital room math one, but where do we go to get to this?
You go to the digital rooms. You're going to find math digital room. Then in the math digital room, I'm going to go to slide number 2. On the left side, on this bookshelf, you're going to find the picture of the geoboard. Looks like a square with a bunch of little dots in it and different color lines. Click on that. Then a little white box will pop up underneath it. You click on where it says, and we're going to be working with the square geoboard. So it might send you to the circle one at first. Switch it to the square. So right now I've just put one line on there. If I wanted to make...
Do we copy you?
Yeah, you can copy me. That's what we want to do right now.
Okay.
So we have one line only. If I wanted to make parallel lines, I would need a second rubber band. I'm going to go ahead and click on, I'm going to use the same color. I'm going to click on the orange one again. I'm going to drag it up to my geoboard. Now remember, parallel lines can never ever touch. So I don't want to put my rubber band on any of the pegs here. I want to put it on one next to it. So click there. It's already around this one. I'm going to click on that peg again. Then I'm going to, I'm not going to click on the peg. I'm going to click on the rubber band. And I'm going to stretch it out again. And I can see where my line is going to be if I move it around. If I want parallel lines, I can't make them cross or touch. I need them to kind of be the same shape. So this one's going straight down. So my second line needs to go straight down. I don't have to make them the same length. One could be shorter than the other one. That's okay. If I look, I know that even if I stretched out my rubber bands forever and ever, they won't touch, they won't cross. So these would be parallel lines. Yes, Ezekiel.
I'm on where you're supposed to go, but what do I click?
At the bottom is where they have the rubber bands. So you're going to click on whatever color rubber band you want.
Not like that one. Like go on copy math class and what do I click?
On the left side, on the bookshelf, you're going to find the picture of the geoboard. This one right here. The square. It's got lots of little dots inside the square. If you look really closely, there's different color lines inside that square.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So right now I have parallel lines. These lines will never ever cross. And again, we're using the square shape, not the circle shape. That way we have a little more room to move my rubber bands around. Okay, so I have parallel lines. Well, what if I want lines that are perpendicular, like Jaylene was saying? They need to look like a capital letter T. Right now, these do not look like capital letter T. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change these around a little bit, okay? I'm going to take this rubber band here. I'm going to click on wherever I put it. I'm going to click on one of the ends. And I'm going to put the end on one of these posts here on my first line. Doesn't matter which one, I could pick whatever one. If I have my rubber bands like this, does this look like a capital letter T? I see some shaking fingers and some shaking heads. No. To make it look like a capital letter T, I have to move this other side of my rubber band so that it's sideways. And now it looks like a capital letter T. It's on its side, but it's still a capital letter T. We're on the square shape, Alexa. Right now we're making just some lines. Made parallel. Now we have perpendicular. Today, what we're going to talk about is angles. I'm going to leave my my perpendicular lines here for a bit. Okay? Perpendicular lines. Always, 100% of the time, need to make what we call right angles. Now, right angles always form kind of like a square. If you can picture a square in your head, a square has right angles. And if I look here in the corner of my perpendicular lines, a square would fit perfectly here or here. It would fit on either side. This is a right angle. There is not just right angles. There are two other kinds of angles that we're going to talk about. Okay? I'm going to make them on my geoboard. And I'm going to use a different color of rubber band for each one. That way it's easier to tell them apart. Okay? I'm going to leave these here. Put this. Make it a little bit smaller so I have some room for my other angles. Okay, so I have my perpendicular here. I'm going to make another kind of angle with some blue rubber band. I'll put one, put it here. Another blue rubber band here and there. Yes, Nakai. I'm not sure if your microphone's not working or what, Nakai. Okay. I want you to look at this angle here. To me, what I always think about is if you've ever seen those chairs that they put, usually they'll put them next to like swimming pools so that people can go and lay down and relax in the sun. That's kind of what they look like. Where the chair doesn't sit straight up. The chair is kind of leaned back so that people can stretch out and they can relax and do all that. This kind of angle we call an obtuse angle. This angle is like if I took my right angle, this one here, and I stretched one side of it back. So if I took the right angle and let's say I could grab both sides of the angle and I just pulled them apart. That's what an obtuse angle looks like. Another kind of angle. Again, I'm going to build it using different colors. That way it's a little bit easier to tell. This time, let's go ahead and use red for this. One rubber band here. One rubber band here. This second one. There. And here. This rubber band, or this angle, is like the opposite of the obtuse. This one, instead of being opened up really wide, this one's almost like a book that I'm closing. I'm finished reading it. There's not a lot of space here between these two lines. This kind of angle we call an acute angle. These are the three kinds of angles that we're going to be working with in 4th grade. Right angles are like these ones up here. Sometimes if you see right angles, it'll look more like this, at the corner of a square. Right angles, acute angles, and obtuse angles. Now between the three angles, the ones that we're looking at, the one that is the most picky, the most fussy, is the right angle. Who here is like a really fussy eater? Or like you're really picky about your food? Like you might like chicken nuggets, but only from one place. Or you might like french fries, but only from one place. Or if you like ketchup, just this one kind of ketchup. And if it's not that kind of ketchup, it's gross and it's disgusting and get it away from me. That's kind of what the right angle is like. The right angle has to be perfect exactly, no more, no less, has to be 90 degrees. Okay, and degrees is how we measure the angles, how open they are. So a right angle is very, very picky. Exactly, perfectly, no more, no less than 90 degrees. Has to be. It can't be 91. It can't be 89. It has to be 90. It has to look exactly like this. It has to be corner of square. Now, acute angles and obtuse angles, they're not as picky. They don't have to be an exact number of degrees or anything like that. An acute angle just has to be smaller than a right angle. Like if you took a right angle, the two sides, and you just kind of squished them together a little bit. And an obtuse angle is the opposite. It has to be bigger than a right angle. If you took the two lines and you just pulled them apart. Yes, Nakai? Are your microphone's still not working, Nakai?
When I'm trying to get onto the geographic bar, the
What's happening, Nakai?
I can't get onto the screen.
Okay. Well, don't, if you can't get to the geoboard, that's fine.
I
Just make
can't.
sure you're following along. Violet, make sure we're not playing with our camera. Jaylene.
Where is the geoboard?
If you go to our Google Classroom, you're going to be in classwork. The left side, the topic you're looking for is digital rooms. And you're going to have to scroll down a little bit, but you want to find the math digital room. When you get in, it's not going to be on slide 1. You're going to have to go to slide number 2. The one that looks like this. It looks like a classroom. And then on the left side, there's a little bookshelf. And on that little bookshelf, there's a square. It's got some dots on it. And then if you look real carefully, there's some different color lines that are connecting the dots. That's the picture of the geoboard. Click on it. Little white box will pop up underneath it. You'll be able to click on geo.
I can't see anyone.
But like I told Nakai, I know like he was having trouble when he tried to open it up. If it's not able to open up for you right now, that's fine. If you're able to see my screen, then you're good because you can just watch what I'm doing here. But that's where you'd find it, Jaylee. Okay, so in the math class, on slide number 2, on the bookshelf. All right.
I can't see no one or the presentation.
You can see the screen, Nakai, or you can't see the screen?
I don't know. Mute your mic. I can't see no one or the screen. Well, I can see the screen, but I can't see no.
Okay. So that's how we tell the angles apart. Right angle is very picky, always going to match the corner of a square. Acute angles are smaller. They're like if you took a right angle and you squished it closed. An obtuse angle, like if you took a right angle and you pulled it open. Now, here's a way to help you remember the acute and the obtuse. Usually people remember the right angle pretty well, okay? But acute angles, I want to show you something. If I make a capital letter A with my rubber bands, that's an acute angle. An acute angle looks almost like a capital letter A. It might be a letter A on its side, but it'll look like a capital letter A. Now, sometimes people have trouble remembering that acute angles are the little ones, the small angles. So, what you can do to kind of help you remember is what helps me is whenever people talk about babies, they always call babies cute, right? Oh, what a cute baby, what a cute baby. Babies are not very big, right? Especially when they're first born, they're very small. So if you remember, oh, it's a cute baby. A cute baby is like an acute angle. They're little angles. Just like babies are little, acute angles are little. And then for the obtuse angles, when you spell the word obtuse and when you see it written down, obtuse starts with the letter O. It starts with the letter O, like the word open. So the obtuse angles are the ones that are very open, or the ones that are opened up wide, because they have the most space between the two lines. So the obtuse angles, the big ones, are your open angles. The acute angles are the little ones, the acute little babies. And the right angles are like that corner of the square. Okay, Brianna, if it's not letting you load into the Geoboard right now, just make sure you're watching my screen. If you can see my screen, if you can hear me, that's okay. Because then you'll be able to hear, you'll be able to see the different kinds of angles. Now, I'm going to show you all a trick, something that you can do to kind of figure out if you have an acute angle, if you have an obtuse angle, or if you have a right angle. Because sometimes it can be hard to tell the difference on a piece of paper. You'd have your acute angles first. Those are the ones that are smaller. You'd have your right angles. Those are the ones that are the picky ones. Has to be perfect, has to be exact. And you have the obtuse angles, the ones that are big, open angles. And let me go ahead and do that in marker. That way it'll be easier for everyone to see. Acute angle, right angle, obtuse angle. Okay? Now, if you happen to have any sticky notes at your house, these can help you out a lot when it comes to angles. If you don't have sticky notes, don't worry, because this trick also works with a piece of paper. Okay, so I'm going to show you with the sticky note because it's a little bit easier to move around the sticky note. It's smaller. All right, so I'll start with the acute angles. what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my sticky note. And if you notice, my sticky note is a square shape. I'm going to take one corner of my sticky note. Doesn't matter which one. It's up to me. I can pick. Not right now, Alexa. I'm just showing you how to do it. I'm going to pick this corner. I'm going to put the corner of my sticky note into the corner of my angle. Really quick, in math, they had a word for a corner. Does anyone remember what that word was in math for the corner of something? Like the corner of a shape, the corner of an angle? Chase, do you remember? What was the word they used for a corner? Math. Oh, you forgot? The word in math for corner is the word vertex. Okay, vertex. But I'm going to take the corner or the vertex of my sticky note, and I'm going to put it into the corner or the vertex of my acute angle. Okay? And I'm going to make sure that when I put the corner here, that I try to line up my sticky note as best as I can. I want it to try to fit. Okay. So if you're looking here, I can still see one of my lines from the angle down here on the bottom. But the other line of my angle is gone. It's covered up. I can't see it anymore. Yes, Nakai?
We don't have any sticky notes, so what can I use?
That's okay. Like I said, you don't have to grab a sticky note right now. Right now, I just want you paying attention to what I'm doing here. Just showing you a trick for it.
Okay.
So I can see one line of my angle, but I can't see the other one. It gets covered up. It's too small for my sticky note to fit. If it's too small for the sticky note to fit, then it's an acute angle. Remember, acute, like a baby. They're cute, they're small, so it's too small for the sticky note to fit. The other way I know that people have remembered it pretty well is if they tell themselves, oh yeah, like a baby, you always cover up a baby. Babies always have blankets around them. And here, I put my sticky note in the corner, one of the lines gets covered up, like you would cover up a baby with a blanket. So that's my acute angle. Too small for the sticky note, and one side gets covered up. The next one is the right angle. Who here's ever read that story about Goldilocks and the Three Bears? Raise your hand. Okay, a lot of us. Who can tell me what was it that Goldilocks said when she was eating the porridge and testing out the beds and all that? She would say, oh, this one's too hard and this one's too soft, or this one's too hot, this one's too cold. But there was always one that was what? Haley?
Large or big, if she said that. I don't know which one she said.
What would she say?
Large, big, or what's it called?
Well, there was the different like bowls of porridge, different beds and all that, right? And there was the big one, the medium one, the small one. But she would try them out and she would go, oh, this one's too hot, this one's too cold, and then the third one was always what? Ready?
Perfect.
Perfect, but she wouldn't say perfect. She would say this one is, what was it? It was 2 words. This one is
Just right?
just right. And look what happens when I have a right angle. When I take the corner of my sticky note and I put it into a right angle, look what happens. I see both lines. They're right up against the edge of my sticky note. The sticky note fits just right. If the sticky note fits just right, then that means that I have a right angle. Sticky note fits just right. Not kind of, sort of, not it's a little bit too big or a little bit too small. If it's just right, it's a right angle. And the last one, the obtuse. Look what happens when I put the sticky note in my obtuse angle. One of my sides is okay, right here on the bottom of the sticky note. But look at the other side. It's kind of like when you wake up in the morning and your hair looks all crazy because you've been sleeping on your pillow and moving around all night. And sometimes when you wake up, you have those couple of hairs that just kind of stick up or stick out to the side. That's what the obtuse angles are like. There's one side that's going to be sticking out or leaving an opening. So if it sticks out or if there's a big open space, then that means you have an obtuse angle. And look, they all start with O. Out, open, obtuse. So the acute angles are too small for my
Mister, I can't see what you're writing.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
never mind.
Right here. So my acute angles are too small for my sticky note. My right angles are just right. Perfect. My obtuse angles are too big. And that's how I can tell them apart. And again, all I need for this trick is a sticky note. Now, Nakai had asked, and I told you, but if you don't have a sticky note, you can't find a sticky note at your house, get a piece of paper and use the corner of the paper. The only time you can't use the piece of paper is like on some of the notebook papers. Instead of having a square corner, they have a round corner. If the corner is round, you can't use it. You need to have a nice sharp point to the corner. But a regular piece of paper or a sticky note will work perfectly for this. Okay? Tomorrow we're going to work a little bit more with it. But I wanted you all to know that trick so that way tomorrow you're already ready. Right?